A recent study has revealed a concerning trend in secondary schools across England, shedding light on a practice that has remained largely hidden from public view. 1 in 12 secondary school students are placed in isolation rooms at least once a week, often missing an entire day's worth of lessons. The research, conducted by the University of Manchester and published in the British Educational Research Journal, has brought to light the widespread use of isolation as a disciplinary measure. This practice, known as internal exclusion, involves removing students from their classes and placing them in separate rooms to work alone or in silence. But here's where it gets controversial. The study found that certain groups of students are disproportionately affected by this practice. Children with special educational needs, those from low-income backgrounds, and students identifying as LGBTQ+ or from Black, Asian, and mixed heritage backgrounds are more likely to be placed in isolation. The data, collected from self-reported surveys of over 34,000 pupils, paints a stark picture of inequality within the education system. And this is the part most people miss. There are no national rules or guidelines on the use of isolation. Unlike suspensions or permanent exclusions, schools have free rein to decide when and how long to isolate students, with no publicly available data to monitor this practice. The lead author of the report, Emma Thornton, emphasizes the hidden nature of internal exclusion, stating, "It is happening every day, yet it remains largely unseen." She further highlights the impact of isolation on students, noting that it leads to lost learning opportunities, strained relationships with teachers, and, in some cases, poorer mental health. The High Court's recent decision to uphold the use of isolation booths in English schools has dashed the hopes of campaigners who argue that this practice is detrimental to students' well-being. Lawyers representing 3 families argued that prolonged isolation deprived their children of an education, with one child spending over half a school year in isolation or suspended. Neil Humphrey, the lead professor of the #BeWell program, which conducted the study, advocates for positive behavior support, restorative approaches, and improved mental health provisions. He believes these strategies are more effective in keeping children connected to their learning and school community. Kieran Gill, from The Difference, an education charity, calls for more research and sharing of best practices to create internal spaces that are supportive and diagnostic, ensuring children return to class promptly. Ellie Costello, from Not Fine in School, emphasizes the need for mandatory reporting of isolation practices, similar to the current requirements for suspensions and exclusions. Tom Bennett, a former teacher and DFE advisor, defends schools' right to maintain order and safety, stating, "Schools have a duty to keep students safe, and sometimes that means temporarily removing disruptive students from lessons." A DFE spokesperson acknowledged the need for high expectations around pupil behavior and the importance of parental support, while also emphasizing their commitment to addressing the causes of poor behavior through access to mental health professionals in schools. This study raises important questions about the use of isolation as a disciplinary measure. Is it an effective solution, or does it exacerbate existing inequalities and harm students' well-being? What alternative strategies can be implemented to create a supportive and inclusive learning environment for all students? We invite you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below.